Episode 3, Mommy Guilt. When do you get it, and how do you deal with it? Welcome back to the Busy Moms Podcast, where we get real about marriage, motherhood, and all that comes with it. This is Elisa DiLorenzo, and I'm so excited to be back with you again this week. We had some great comments on last week's episode, what happens when tragedy strikes, and it was very much apparent from the comments that some of you made directly to me via email or up on the Facebook fan page at oneextraordinarymarriage.com that you've been there. You've been there on one side or the other, either giving help or receiving it, and you too realize the power of busy moms getting together to help support a sister mom when she's in a time of crisis. And I really enjoyed reading and hearing your comments. And once again, you can always reach me via email at askalisa@oneextraordinarymarriage.com, or give me a call on our 24-hour listener feedback line. It's 858-754-9937. I love hearing what you have to say and, knowing what makes a difference to you, what's going on in your lives. It's nice to know that you're not alone in this crazy thing called motherhood, that somebody else is going through the same temper tantrums. Or, the other day at preschool, we come in and, you've got all these 4-year-olds and suddenly they've turned into Klingons. They don't want their moms to leave them. And, we joke that it was because it was the full moon. Of course, we were past the full moon, but it helps to think that, maybe there's some kind of crazy natural order to why all of a sudden at the end of the school year, none of the kids want to go to school and they just want to hang with us. And, it ties very much into today's topic. And I really want to talk about mommy guilt. When I had first posted, what is your biggest struggle? I had posted that question on the Facebook fan page, and so many of you wrote in, I can't get it all done. I want to be, a career woman. I want to be mom. I want to be wife. And I'm juggling all of these different balls. I'm keeping everybody's schedule together, including, my own, my husband's, the kids. We've got doctor's visits and soccer games and birthday parties. And, I want my house to be clean, and I want to get a pedicure. And, at the end of the day, the pedicure feels like the one thing I shouldn't do. And I've been there. I would venture a guess that virtually any of you out there listening have been there in one way, shape, or form, dealing with the mommy guilt issue. The whole, what about doing something for myself? When do I get a turn? When is it okay for me to indulge in the guilty pleasure of sitting down and reading a book? I know some of you are like, really? You have time to read? That is definitely one of my selfish pleasures. I may not always get the pedicure, but if I'm in the middle of a good book, watch out, because I will sneak the opportunity to read whenever and wherever I can get it. And that sometimes actually causes problems on the marriage side of things, because I will stay up very late to read. After the house is quiet, I'm like, ooh, it's quiet. I can read. Nobody's asking me for, one more drink of water, or, can you tuck me in again? Would you please make dinner? And I just sit there and I stay up late, which of course leads to being tired the next day because, I indulge in a guilty pleasure. And so it's, how do you balance it? Where do your mommy guilt moments come from? Is it, if you're a working mom, is it not being able to attend your son or daughter's school events all the time, or being able to do as much in the classroom as you would like to? If you've got multiple kids, it's being able to give to all of them equally, or saying, I can't do equally for everybody because there are different needs in different seasons of the children's lives. There are different needs. It hits us from all different angles. We want our house to be clean. And so do we play with the kids, or do we wash the dishes? Which is really more important. And I actually had a girlfriend of mine, Mandy, who we were having a conversation talking about this very thing the other day, and she loves to have her house clean. It's actually something that she really enjoys, and we've talked about this often enough, so I don't think she's going to mind me sharing it. But I give her a hard time because we are so not on the same page with the house cleaning thing. I could care less. But she came to the realization the other day that her son is not going to remember how clean his house was. He's not, when he's an adult, he's not going to say, oh yeah, I had the cleanest house on the block. It was great. He's going to remember the times that she sat down and played trains with him or played Legos with him. And, having those moments where it's like, what's really important? I think I mentioned last week, one of the comments that we'd gotten on the website at One Extraordinary Marriage, where we post the podcast, was one of our listeners, Julie, said, I have to keep in mind that I am raising adults and, balance that with the guilt that we feel, we're trying to get them ready for adulthood. We also need to take care of ourselves, so we pour all of this energy into our children and into our marriage. And sometimes it is okay, ladies, to say, I need a timeout. I need to rejuvenate my batteries. I need to put some energy into me so that I've got energy to give to everybody. If we just give and give and give and give, you're going to get burned out. I know. I've done it. And then I turn into the cranky mommy and wife that nobody wants to be around because I'm snapping at everybody, from, Tony, my husband, down to the youngest child, Abby, and Alex also bears quite a bit of the brunt of it, because when I have given so much that there's nothing left, it's like a gas tank on E. When you're running on fumes, it's pretty bad. You're pretty much pulled over to the side of the road, and that's how it is with those things that make us feel guilty. Whether, if you can't be in 6 places at once, and if you can, I would love for you to call in or write in and tell me how you figured out how to do that, because I haven't. As we're approaching the end of the school year, I've actually got a situation on Monday where both kids have big end of the school year events going on, and it's already turning into this major mapping of, okay, who's got to be where, when, and I'm helping out with both kids. So how do I, coordinate being at A, then being at B, picking up both kids, making sure everybody's happy, and, mom hasn't completely lost her mind by noon on Monday. But I know the kids really want me there. And this is one of those opportunities that I have where there's enough of a gap in the schedules that I think I'm going to be able to pull it off. That's not always the case. And there have been times when I've had to say no, when I've had to say, you know what, it's okay that I can't do everything, even though I really want to. And I really, I want to do all the programs and I want to, participate. I've had to let it go. And I strongly encourage you, those of you that are dealing with mommy guilt issues, whether it's over a clean house or not being able to be in 3 places at the same time, to let some of the stuff go, to realize that you do have limitations on your time, your resources, and to say, you know what is most important? And I would hope and pray that what comes up as most important on your priority list are going to be the relationships with your husband and your children. We're all moms here, and it's one of those things where I lose sight often about the fact that the relationships are supposed to be the most important. I get caught up in the activities, the stuff, we've got to be here, we've got to get this done. And, I get this crazy little hamster wheel schedule going on in my brain going, okay, hurry up, next thing, because we don't want anything to fall off the list. And the reality is a lot of that stuff can fall off. Somebody else might be disappointed. Somebody might say, well, you should have been there. You're right. I said I was going to be there. I had to take care of my kids. We were running behind because as often the case in our house, Abby has to change her clothes a few times before we go anywhere, or she doesn't have the right pair of shoes on, which at age 4 scares me because I can only imagine what she's going to be like at 14 when clothes and shoes are suddenly much more important. I'm in trouble. I know. It's going to be bad. But letting things go, not saying yes to everything. That has been something that Tony and I have talked about on the One Extraordinary Marriage podcast. And it's been something that we both continue to work on a regular basis. And it's amazing when you haven't said yes to stuff that you don't have to worry about the guilt about not being able to do it 100% or showing up for something because it's not even on your calendar. It's liberating. But it takes some practice to say no, to say, you know what, we've got enough on our plate right now. We're not going to do that. And I encourage you this week to say no. Somebody asks you to do something and you really can't fit it in without making something else suffer. Say no. See how good you feel when that person walks away and you're like, oh, that's not one more thing I put on my plate right now. Because I would venture a guess that all of us have a full plate of schedules, commitments, priorities. We really don't need one more thing. That's not to say that opportunities won't come your way that you want to jump on and, life is in a good place where you can take on that one more thing. But don't take on stuff that's going to make you feel guilty or that's going to add more pressure to your family, to your kids. Because ultimately you have to ask the question, is it worth it? If I'm feeling guilty all the time because I can't do what I want to do, is it worth it? Our kids pick up on our emotions. Our husband definitely knows what's going on with us and can see when we're stressed over not being able to do everything we want to do or not being able to do things well because there's too much on our plate. It's not fair to our families to live in this perpetual state of mommy guilt. It's not to say we can't visit there once in a while, but to constantly be going, oh, I just wish I could keep all of this in order. I wish I could keep all of this straight. Sometimes you just can't. And, believe me, I am not saying I am perfect at this. I am not saying I've got my act all together. I just know that when I get too overburdened, it doesn't work in our family because so many of us moms are kind of the cornerstone for our families. Everything, sort of revolves around us in terms of coordination and transportation and, nutrition. All of the shuns seem to revolve around mom. And, it's one of those things where if the cornerstone isn't solid, you've got a crumbling foundation. You've got a crumbling structure. And it doesn't work. It's really kind of plain and simple. It doesn't work. So, think about the areas of your life this week that cause you the most mommy guilt. Those areas where you're just like, I don't like this. I don't like the way I feel about this particular situation or set of circumstances. And, this week start thinking about ways that you can make changes. And I'm not saying drastic changes where all of a sudden you're like, whoop, we are completely clearing the slate clean. We're not doing anything. It's just going to be, our family and our house and that's it. That's ridiculous and virtually impossible. Because we do interact with the world around us, and to suddenly give that all up, that would make you crazy in a whole nother fashion. But start looking at the stuff that might be easily let go. And, talk it over with your husband. If your kids are old enough, talk it over with the kids and say, you know what? I'm thinking of cutting back. I don't want us to live in this stressed out state. I don't want to have to worry that me getting a pedicure is going to tax the family. Be it, the fact that mom even took half an hour for herself. I want to be able, say to your family, I want to feel rejuvenated. I need to take the time to feel equipped to, to serve your family. That's what we do as moms. We serve our husbands, we serve our children, and it's okay to wipe some of that stuff clear, rejuvenate mom, and come back stronger and more energized when you take those little timeouts, when you've cleared stuff off your plate so that you have time in your schedule to just indulge in the guilty pleasures. I don't care if it's your favorite TV show on TV, the favorite book that you're reading, getting a pedicure, going shopping, whatever your thing is, make it work so that you don't feel guilty. Make there be a balance in your life. Take baby steps to make those changes. Involve your family in making changes so that you are a happier, healthier family. You can do this. We can all do this. And that's why I would love to hear from you this week on, what those mommy guilt are. And as a community, I would love for us to brainstorm ideas on what you do to get past the mommy guilt, to free up time in your schedule, to work through those things, let them go, the extra stuff on your plate. We have such a strong community here, and I can tell just by the feedback that we've been getting already. You moms that are listening to the Busy Moms podcast are a tremendous resource for one another. Whether you're aware of it or not, you have so much to offer all the other moms listening. And so I encourage you this week, if you've got some thoughts on this podcast, feel free to call in. I'd love to play your thoughts next week. Give me a call at 858-754-9937 or leave me an email at askalisa@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. Post a comment on the Facebook fan page under One Extraordinary Marriage. There are lots of ways to get in touch, and whatever you're most comfortable with, I would love to hear from you. And I want to thank you for being a part of the Busy Moms podcast community. You're making each other stronger, and that is a gift that only you can provide. So thank you, and have a good week.